welcome everyone. Welcome. I'll just give it a little minute or so that everyone can just get their audio up and get their visuals up. Welcome to the Outsourced CFO webinar for COVID-19 strategies and support for entrepreneurs. It's crazy to see so many of you guys coming in. I think when we started setting up this session, we thought maybe, 15 or 20 or so entrepreneurs. We'll keep it small. We're not going to market this wide. We just want a small conversation around what can entrepreneurs do in this time to just, navigate the complexities of their companies and how can they survive and how can they thrive through this process. And I believe today we've got about 200 entrepreneurs that are all streaming in today. So we're super excited. It's the first time we're using this platform as a firm. So bear with us on anything technical. If it's your first time, welcome to Zoom. It's one of our favorite platforms for communication on video and a really cool tool for your company. So maybe just one or two little housekeeping things. The best way for you to get the maximum out of this presentation is if you can see the speaker and if you can also see their presentation. So at the top of your screen, if you take your mouse up to the top, you'll see there's a view options. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a side-by-side mode. If you click that on, you'll see the presentation and you'll see the speaker. And then you can shift them between. If you want to see more presenter or more presentation, then you can shift it in between. That's a really nice way to get the most out of the presentation. And then also, guys, we want you guys to ask questions. We want to give you guys the relevant content. We've gone out of our way to prep for the session in terms of our areas of expertise, but we really want to hear from you, the entrepreneurs and the business owners who are out there navigating the battles every day. So at the very bottom, there's a chat. If you click in there, you can chat. Make sure you set it that it sends your chat to the presenters. By the very end, we'll take all of those questions that you guys have asked, and we'll use whatever time is left to just go through some of those questions just to be able to tackle that. But yeah, guys, we've got a packed day ahead of us. But I just want to talk about the context today of why we're all meeting here today. And I think it's this worldwide pandemic called COVID-19 that's brought us together. At the moment, we have more than 2.5 million cases around the world. Almost 200,000 people have perished because of the virus. Half the world is in lockdown. Global markets are in turmoil. It's really chaos out there. And this isn't just a worldwide thing. This is also a really close to home thing. Here in South Africa, we're really feeling the pain. We've got a couple of thousand cases. We've got 65 deaths at the moment. We've been on a hectic lockdown for the last couple of weeks, as I'm sure all of you will really feel. The stock market has collapsed. The rand has collapsed. We've really had a tough time, and I think in economic pressure like this, where your currency devalues, where your markets are down, I think the biggest thing that comes to the biggest place where all that pressure comes down onto is the small and mid-sized company, the entrepreneurial business that's trying to employ their 10 or 20 or 50 people, that's trying to build a business and build a living. And I think that's one of the most complex places to be in, one of the toughest leadership roles one can have right now. So what we've done as Outsourced CFOs, we've just put together a little agenda of 3 of the core issues that we believe it will be really valuable for entrepreneurs to think about. The first one is, how do you navigate the current complexity of remote work? How do you go fully digital, fully remote as fast as you can? And Wilhelm is going to take you guys through that. We're going to look at people management. How do you manage and lead your people in this new normal? And Donna, one of our directors, is going to take you through that. And lastly, I'm going to tell you guys about some of the strategies and ideas around surviving and thriving and what the options for entrepreneurs are out there. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to Wilhelm. Wilhelm is our Chief Operating Officer at Outsourced CFO, and he's had an amazing journey the last while of really taking Outsourced CFO from a company that works from the office to a fully remote business, and he's also helping many clients do the same. Wilhelm, over to you.
Thanks, Lau. If you can stop your screen share, then I'll share the presentation. All right, great, guys. Thank you so much. It's lovely having you all here in my lounge, like most of us are. And it was my role at Outsourced CFO to, within 24 hours, to take us remote. So today I'll just be sharing some practical things, some things we've learned, some things we're still busy learning, and what the road looks like ahead for working remotely. All right. So who were we before the lockdown? Well, this is the Outsourced CFO team. We're 29 passionate individuals in the finance industry. 28 of us were primarily at the office, so most days, full days, and we had one team member that worked remotely 100%. It's that guy. His name is Johan. If there's any clients on the line, I assume many of you already know him. So this is a slide that we used internally for thinking about going remote and how does one go remote. This was all done long before lockdown, and we saw 4 strategies. The first is the number 1, no remote strategy, and that is many of us in the room. We had no remote strategy. We were all in the office. Yeah, I worked from a coffee shop here or there, but primarily we were office-bound workers. Then we had remote second, where most team members are still in the office, but 1 or 2 individuals are working remotely. Remote first is where most of your team members work remotely, and one or 2 in the office, and then 100% remote, where you have no physical office and everyone is working from different environments. And where were we? Well, we were firmly stuck in point number 2 with a remote second strategy, only having 1 individual that works remotely full time. But we're already thinking about moving to a remote first strategy. What would be needed? What are the policies, the procedures? How would it work? How would clients communicate? So we're fortunate in that sense of already started that thinking, but we didn't even consider that we'll implement it this year. So like most organizations, within 24 hours, we were 100% remote. So what did we do? We're obviously not alone in this. The whole world had to go remote. But here's what we did by following 3 simple rules. Rule number 1 is being proactive. It's really core at Outsourced CFO that we remain proactive in all spheres of things that we do in a day-to-day basis. So as an example, I've got the COVID-19 timeline here in South Africa, where on the 15th of March, we had the president's first address. And during that address, he announced social distancing, restrictions on gatherings, etc. On the 23rd of March, we had the president's second address, whereby he announced the lockdown. On the 26th of March, the lockdown actually started and we all had to go remote. And then we have the unknown. Lockdown ends. We don't know yet when that will be. We'll hopefully know more this evening, but it's highly unlikely that business will return to normal as what we used to know it prior to lockdown. Now, in the thinking of being proactive, where did we go remote? Well, we went on the 16th of March, the day after the lockdown, the social distancing and restriction on gatherings were announced. We went remote. We wanted to be proactive. We wanted to take care of our staff members. But what it did was it gave us that 11-day grace period for people to be remote and get used to it and make mistakes and forget something in the office and actually go back and fetch something. Another thing that really suited us well was that our tech stack or our technology stack was lockdown or remote ready. So we make use of a whole variety of technology solutions, and I just put some on the screen today, for us today. Zoom, for example, for web meetings and webinars like we're having today. 3CX is our telephone system we use, and it was already cloud-based. So immediately our telephone systems remained online, nothing changed. Our receptionist is still picking up the phone just from her home now. And calls are still coming through and clients are still able to freely communicate with us. Xero, I hope you all know Xero. If you don't, you have to reach out to us. Xero, a fantastic, the world #1 cloud-based accounting software in our opinion. Okay, really setting our own organization and that of our clients up for success for proper real-time live financial management. We're avid supporters of what Google is doing at the moment. Things do change, but right now we're really making use of the full Google suite of products that really just enables our business to work remotely, work effectively, and be agile in our approach to our own challenges, but that also of our clients. The second rule, very important rule that we follow, is that we work like nothing has changed. Okay, but a lot has changed, but yet we work like nothing has changed. Some things, some examples of things that we kept exactly the same is our dress code policy remains the same. It's funny, but we ensure by getting up in the morning, taking a shower, putting on a shirt, putting on your jacket or your tie, whichever is your organization's dress code, and not just rocking up in your pajamas, really just gives that, it gives yourself and the employee just such a level of, all right, I'm ready, I'm here, I'm going to work. Okay, some guys go smart casual. With that, I mean smart at the top, casual at the bottom. All right, but that's just some of the guys. But we really ensure that people feel that they are ready for the day. Monday, we have a Monday motivation every Monday morning at 9 a.m. We used to have that in the office. Now we have it remotely. We keep it there. It's compulsory. Everyone needs to be there because we either share critical information, we motivate our team for the week to come, or we have some fun. We do some fun activities, and there's some great ideas of things you can do online while still creating that company culture. We have regular team check-ins in place. So we typically have the sales team meeting or the marketing team meeting, the accounting or all our various departments had meetings prior to lockdown. Those remain exactly in place. Okay. And then people still take leave. People either get sick or people need to rest their mind. So people actually are still taking annual leave during this period of time so that they can rest. Yeah, we can't leave home, but we can rest. Step away from your computer, put down your device, and make sure that you have that restful moment. Okay. We documented everything. That's a very important rule. So when we went remote, we had to roll out a whole bunch of new policies, or more specifically, some updated policies. So our policies will be unpacked a little bit later. Donna will be speaking about it more during people management, but how to use your calendar, how to communicate, travel policies, how to take leave. All of these policies were critical in going forward into lockdown because our team members started wondering, and you don't want someone in your organization wonder what they need to do or what is permitted or how they should react. We documented everything, shared it, and from there we could do regular Q&As. Okay, so obviously some things had to change. So what did we change? Well, this is what we look like today. Yeah, we're during our Monday motivations, and I'll share now on our Friday sessions these days, we do it remotely. We make use of Zoom or another technology that's applicable, and we share. And video is so important because now we have a face-to-face. We really quickly found that if someone switches off the camera, they disengage or they're not present or doing something else, whilst actually should be focusing on the team. So switch on your camera and be a part of the team is really cool. Okay, some new things we introduced. We introduced a Friday check-in in addition to our Monday motivation. So now we ensure that we have a check-in in the beginning of the week and the end of the week for all team members. Our Friday one is much more sociable. What you're doing this weekend, what you're planning, let's play a game, those type of things, and where we need to share some important information. We also had to do some portfolio shifts. So we really took a look at our team, how their home connectivity was, what amount of data the various clients' portfolios had to consume, and we shifted accordingly, making sure that we can still deliver on our clients' promises. We also had to look at our non-income producing team members. During a time like this, we have team members that are in the office to service the office environment or the people in the office. Now we're no longer there. So we had to rethink, what are we doing with them? What are we going to do? What role are they going to start playing in the organization? And had to come up with some creative ideas of not just how to keep them busy, but really how to educate them, how to grow them as individuals, and also have them either play a part in income producing activity or in a core operational remote environment. We also had to change our working hours. This is specifically focused around our parents. I'm a parent, I've got a 1-year-old. I really hope he doesn't run here through the call. He's taking a nap right now. but we had to change our remote environment for our parents because we only get around I personally get around 6 hours done during the normal 8 to 5. The other 2 hours I'm working in the evening. So we had to be a little bit more flexible. We do regular client and staff surveys. So we regularly ask our clients how things are doing, how are we doing, and we also regularly ask our team members how are things going. Specifically in and around our team, we regularly send the same survey next week and the week after that and the week after that, so that we can measure what is happening and what is someone's emotionality around COVID-19 during this period of time. Because if your team members are not motivated or feeling stressed, you want to know about it. And you want to be able to plot, as we say, flatten the curve. We want to be able to plot someone's emotionality with this curve as well. And that comes back to being proactive and ensuring that you know what is happening with your team. And we have regular in-person, I take it upon myself to make sure that in a 2-week period, I try and get to each individual team member and have a one-on-one conversation. How are you doing? Is everything okay? What's happening in your life? Anything that I can help with? Nothing, great. Enjoy your day. Okay. We feel loved, we feel cared, and we switch on our video. Very important. Remember that we are working with people still. It's not just a number on a spreadsheet or a salary somewhere. We are still working with people, their livelihoods, and their families. So always keep the human component in mind when you are managing your team members remotely and making critical business decisions. Right. Coming closer to the end, some important things to check. Our biggest challenge with going remote was connectivity. Like most organizations, we're not a first world country. We've got pockets of where it feels like first world when it comes to connectivity, and then other areas where it's absolutely third world. Our challenges were some had no connectivity at home, some had poor connectivity at home, and some reported good connectivity. So yes, I've got a good internet connection, but in reality, they disregarded an important part of how to test the internet connectivity, and that's a golden nugget that I'll share shortly. Before we get there, when we went into lockdown, prior to lockdown, our internet demographic was as follows. We were very fortunate that already 50% of our team members had fiber at home. But the worrying component was that 40% of the pie, which is 2G, 3G, or 4G connections. And that created some instability with team check-ins, but also with client check-ins. And look, going forward, where we are today, we've gone to 63% of fiber already. Many team members have realized they need the right connectivity to be able to work, and we've worked with them as Outsourced CFO and our internal operational team to find the best connections for the environment at the right prices, at the right packages, and at the right speeds. Okay. So this is the golden nugget that I refer to with testing your internet connectivity. Really important for all business owners to consider what the ping is of their team members at home. What is ping or latency? Well, when we look at an internet connection, we all know upload speed, we all know download speed, but many people don't know what ping or latency is. So let me quickly explain that. Download speed is how fast something downloads to your computer. Upload speed is how fast it uploads, how fast you're sending information. So for this video call, very important. And then often disregard ping. And that's the time it takes to send a piece of information from your home to the recipient, and for the recipient to come back and confirm that they received that information. Now, when you're sending information, it's broken down into multiple little packets and send one, and each packet needs to come back and confirm that it's been received. So imagine you have a Ferrari, okay? We all know a Ferrari can do 100 miles an hour, no problem. But imagine you take a tennis ball and you put it underneath the accelerator and you step on that accelerator. The Ferrari will still reach 100 miles per hour, but it will take a much longer time to get there. And that tennis ball is the example of ping. If you prevent your accelerator, no matter how fast your internet connection up or download is, if your ping is really high, you're going to find that you've got a very poor and ineffective internet connection. So how do you test? Well, there's a quick link and I'll be posting this on my LinkedIn after this conversation, also some guidelines as to what is a good ping, what's a good download, and what's a good upload speed. So you're welcome to find me on LinkedIn after this conversation. I'll be posting it there for some practical guidelines. Remember, the most important thing is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. I've learned this from Donna, who will be speaking about people shortly. And if you can have the best strategy, fantastic, you are thought leading. But if you don't have the right culture in place and the right people to drive that strategy, it will most likely fail. Okay. So looking ahead, will things go back to normal after the lockdown? Highly unlikely. For the future, we are looking at 3 rules. Number 1, remain proactive. We're continuously looking at what is coming, what government is saying, what our own data is saying. We are looking for things that are changing. As things are changing, new technology, new clients, new industries that get developed, we're continually looking to the forefront and see where are the opportunities coming so that we can grab them as they come in. And then we continue to document. Everything that we do, we continue to document, create those strong SOPs and those strong guidelines that govern our organization. The last thing that I leave you is a strange observation. So according to literature online and the internet, that online meetings should be shorter than in-person meetings. Our practical findings, however, is that they are actually taking longer. Regularly, our meetings go way over the scheduled period of time. Why? Well, to be honest, we don't know. We really don't know yet. Our current guess is that people are starved for interaction and conversation. Therefore, it's taking longer. People feel they can't interrupt as they would in a normal in-person meeting. Something that we're still grappling with. And we'd love to hear your comments on this afterwards. And if there's any questions, please pop it in the Q&A. And with that, I'll be handing over to Donna Pretorius to take us through people.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for that kind introduction, Wilhelm. I really enjoyed your session. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Perfect. As Wilhelm mentioned, I'll be taking you through people management, the new and normal. I am the co-founder of Outsourced CFO, director as well. I want to stand still and I want to say it's great to be part of a community of entrepreneurs like yourself. I want to stress out that I understand that each of us as entrepreneurs and business owners are in very difficult, unprecedented positions where our people, our staff, our family are looking to us for guidance and leadership during this time. Hence this discussion, people management, the new normal. So just a little bit of context, Outsourced CFO. So Outsourced CFO is a financial management company of chartered accountants. We basically help our clients with a technical and visual CFO and cloud accounting services. To give you a little bit of idea, during this COVID-19 period, we've been helping a lot of our clients with getting their compliance up to date, be that tax clearances in order to apply for relief funding, helping them with that, navigating the difficult times of understanding their cash flow, where business owners need to make very hard decisions, helping them to make these informed decisions and really looking at their numbers and also looking at leading their people during this time. This is our family. I think you've seen a slide of this before. To give you a little bit of context, I'm also the HR director at Outsourced CFO. So this is our family. One of our biggest values is family first. Basically, like Wilhelm has mentioned, we moved fully remotely, even before the official lockdown, and all our staff members here currently service our clients remotely continuously. So today's session, the index, I'll be touching base with the new normal. I'll be focusing on a quick decision making that's needed of you as a business owner during this time. I'll also be touching base on people management, where there's very difficult and hard decisions to make, how to approach your own payroll as a business. Under people management, I'll be focusing also on remote working. If you used to work in an office and now your team is working remotely and you weren't necessarily prepared for it, what some of these policies that needs to be in place. We'll briefly touch base on that. And then I'm also just going to touch base on what's the basic employee needs that's still applicable, even though you're operating this new normal. So you really just remember the basics with people management. And then lastly, in conclusion, I'll be focusing on some of the employer payroll relief options that's available. Firstly, words of encouragement to you as management. If there's ever a time for you as a lead of your business, then it's now. Your staff is also experiencing a similar disruption in their lives, having to work remote, having a lot of questions and uncertainty. So I just want to encourage you as management to stand up as leaders, to guide and lead your family, your team, your business during this qualifying difficult times. I want to encourage you to work closely with your trusted advisors during this time, being transparent, asking for advice, and to really navigate this uncertainty, really be proactive with some of these big challenges that you're facing. The new normal, what it might mean for your people, for you, I think a big word for me is adaptability. You know, to be adaptable in your approach, the way how you manage your people, the way how you check quality control. And the last thing on the new normal, you know, what I want to just highlight is you as a business have a set of values that's your DNA and how you prefer to operate. And you've got a very unique culture in how you operate. Now that your business is operating perhaps in a very different way, operating more digitally, remotely, please consider and make sure that your culture still is as rock solid as it can be, and almost aspiring to a digital culture, and keep on thinking within the new normal how you maintain your culture, because that is so important during this time. Quick decision making. I'm going to use an example which a lot of entrepreneurs face at this stage. It might be that you've lost a very big client, or a project that you were hoping to come in might be deferred a little bit later. It really means that, you know, you might be cash flow struck in a very difficult position to pay staff during that time. So I'm using the formula out of one of Dale Carnegie's books, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's a great formula that you can use. And the first thing is to evaluate the scenario honestly and fearlessly, and to really look at what's this worst case scenario that could happen in your business, and really look at the numbers. The second step is to decide to accept that worst case scenario, even how difficult it might be, even just spiritually accepting it, and thinking, is everyone still alive? Is everyone still healthy? Does someone have a roof? Everyone still have a roof over their head, something to eat? And just to, you know, even though these worst case scenarios might play out, some of these basic human needs are still in place. The third, accepting the worst case scenario as well, is to say, yeah, even though my business might shrunk during this time, or have to reduce operations during the time, I will be stronger and I will be better positioned, and I will be better pivoting, you know, and just accepting that worst case scenario. The third step is to really, from here on onwards, really be calm. Use your energy to try and improve the worst case scenario. Pick up the phone, have those difficult conversations with those important clients, see how you can pivot your value offering to them, you know, see what you can, you know, how you can have discussions with staff members early on, you know, to be truthful and honest what you can afford and not afford. This is an amazing formula which we also use as Outsourced CFO for decision making, and we encourage our clients to use during this difficult time. Under people management, I'll be touching base on payroll restructuring, where you have to have some of these hard discussions. Briefly just touching base on remote working policies, and then I'm just going to remind all of you, what does your employee, what does he or she really want? You know, and just understanding their needs, and just to be aware of that during this time. So staff payroll restructuring, let's say you're in a very difficult position like most of entrepreneurs are during this time. Some of you might already have had some of these discussions. Some of you are planning to have these discussions. What I want you to be mindful is to ask for expert labor law advice during this, to really make sure you make informed decisions, that you're labor law compliant during this time, that you truly understand your cash flow position, so you make informed decisions on this, you know, and that you really put out the necessary time to consider these payroll restructurings. One of the ways to approach this is in stages, with stage 4 being more severe. Stage 1 would be, if you're in a position where you need to restructure payroll, is to look at if you have too many staff, redundant staff, you know, really think what's the backbone of your business, what does your business need to survive during this time. It might be a first stage just to offer voluntary retrenchment, where your staff out of their own accord take that option and take that retrenchment package. Next stage would possibly be to consider to ask staff to take enforced annual leave. If your business seasonality allows it, it might mean that you have to work at a different time during year, perhaps over December or so. A third stage consideration would be where you actually have more severe discussions with your staff, where salaries are actually reduced. We've seen that some clients have up to reduced salaries of staff, anything from 25 to 50% in salary reductions, some of them a little bit less. Some of them ask their staff only to work three days a week, or reducing that, and by even reducing the amount of time worked, proportionally reducing the salaries, or just asking, should you need to work the same time, and we're still going to reduce the salaries given the needs of the business. So that's just something to really look at closely with your advisors. The fourth stage is obviously more severe, and where you need to retrench a part or all of your staff. Before considering this route, there are some relief options to consider before in that stage. In short of all, let's say you do decide on the course of action to take. The action steps with this is just to structure it internally, make sure that your labor law consultant, you know, with the paperwork, guide you through that, through the legalities. Make sure you've got a really transparent and honest presentation to your team. It can be a one-way, you know, a session with the MD, with the team. Set up those meetings with the employees and really just be transparent in what's happening to your business, what's happening to your clientele, where are you, what are you as business management doing to address this? Where have you started cutting costs? What remedies do you need to take in order to keep the family together, you know, the team together, or just to create that awareness and alignment and understanding from staff, you know, what the position of the business is. Very, very difficult discussion. I'm thinking of all of you entrepreneurs that needs to make these discussions. Just a quick moving on to remote working. You as a business, you used to work like at your office. Now you're forced to work remotely. You're not potentially geared for it. As you can see on the screen, there's so many considerations, you know, type of leaders, how do you train your staff, your digital culture, the human element, people missing interactions. You have introverts, extroverts, you know, how do you make sure the quality is still the same? So many considerations. So obviously, to navigate these complexities, make sure that you've got the relevant policies in place. We've seen calendar use some families, you know, we have young ones. You need to navigate that. You know, calendar use policy could help with that, to make sure that everyone knows when you're available at your desk. It's not, you can't just walk to someone's office and ask them for something, you know, just to restrict other people's time, and, you know, even 3-6 etiquette to be on time for meetings, have agendas for meetings, you know, dress code, we've discussed that, etc. For remote working policies, for you to manage your people. Then employee needs, this is a very important slide. I'm not going to read through everything. I'll just, these are just the 12 basic needs that employees have, and it's still relevant during this new normal, this new position that you're finding yourself. The employee needs to know what's expected of him at work. You know, as a business, what's your one-page critical number plan, action plan for your firm? Does everyone know what they need to do to help during this time? And everyone needs to know that, you know, that what they need to do. Tools and resources, thinking about data and, you know, like access to tools to do their work. You know, the fourth one is also very interesting, recognition. Now, you used to give recognition in meetings with the group or one-on-one. We use a very amazing software called High Five, where we can digitally give people high five for where they live out our values and our culture, and just to really praise our staff. People want to be cared about. People want their development to be encouraged. People want, if staff members have creative opinions and thoughts, you know, during this time, you know, this is where you pull your staff in. You know, it's a really use them and what they bring to the table as well. Other consideration, people are lonely during this time. So do you create enough opportunities for people to mingle, to meet with others? You know, people are very vulnerable, you know, and these are just some of the concerns, the basic needs that employees have during this time, just to consider when navigating during this time with your own business. Then moving on to employer payroll relief options. I'll be starting with the pay-as-you-earn tax one. I think a lot of you would be aware of this. Our President Cyril Ramaphosa on Tuesday's address to the nation mentioned that the pay-as-you-earn relief, the layman relief increased from 20% to 35%. So if you think about it, your pay-as-you-earn that needs to be submitted by the 7th of the next month, the MP201, you know that only 65% of that is due now. But very important, you need to be tax compliant to do that. So this benefit won't be for all. And so if your tax compliance is not in place, talk to your tax practitioner, make sure that there's no outstanding financials that's outstanding or income tax returns that's going to prohibit you from enjoying this pay-as-you-earn tax relief, because it can really make a big cash flow difference in your business. And then the idea is to enjoy this, not enjoy, but just to this is how the government is helping businesses to experience, to have that over the next 4 months from April to July, with the idea that, you know, this pay-as-you-earn, whatever is delayed, needs to be paid back from September to February over a 6-month period. That's from a SARS, South African Revenue, you know, services perspective from a tax position. Then to the right-hand side, we have TERS. Now, TERS is a Department of Employment and Labor Initiative. It's called the Temporary Employer Relief Scheme. It's basically out there to prohibit or to help businesses who are considering to retrench staff to give this assistance to them by saying, hang on, before you do that, there is this a relief that you can apply for. You can email COVID-19 TERS at labor.gov.za. You'll get a detailed list of what they require. Is automated, you know, and the real benefits is, you know, your staff members can experience a relief of anything from 3,500 Rand per employee to a maximum of 38% of 17,000 Rand, give or take. So that's minimum 3,500 to give or take 6,700 maximum relief. So this is something that the UIF, unemployment, you know, this is what the UIF can actually pay out to you as a business during the time, especially if you have lower earning wage earners in your business. Definitely for something to look out for. I know a lot of you are busy with your April payroll before the end of the month, as well as considering for the next one as well. Moving on to the next, corporate tax consideration is just for qualifying taxpayers. Again, our standing is that you need to have tax clearance for this. It's where your provisional tax, you know, from 1 April to 30 September, that if you've got a February year end and that's a tax that's due end of August, you know, only 50% of the estimated total tax, you know, is due, with the idea that 65% is due by the end of your year. You know, if you've got a February year end, that would be end of Feb 2021, and then obviously the top up third provisional tax is the concern to pay the remainder. The last one before I conclude is just the ETI, tax subsidy for employee tax incentive. In short, the government offers this subsidy for you, you know, a tax subsidy. You know, if you have staff earning below 6,500 Rand per month, your tax practitioner, the person doing your payroll, will be able to upload this tax subsidy on your payroll system. They would be able to complete it when completing the EMP 201. Typically, you would have only received refunds every 6 months, but SARS, they have fast forwarded, so you can experience this, this refund twice per year. Important, talk to your tax practitioner, person doing your payroll, so they understand how to apply for this, and so that you can make use of these benefits available. Thank you very much for your time. I'll be giving over to my co-founder and friend, our MD, Louw Barnard, who's going to be talking about surviving and thriving. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, guys, let me just pop my screen up here. There you go. Okay, thank you, Donna. Yeah, I mean, lots of complexity and a lot of difficult conversations in there, but very well put together. Thank you, sir. So those guys who know me well know I love talking about scaling up, all things business growth and moving forward. Unfortunately, we find ourselves, for many of us, for the first time in an environment where almost every company in almost every sector has lost some part of its revenue and will still lose more of its revenue in the current complexity. The good news on that is that a lot of the skill set and a lot of the drivers behind scaling up can also be leveraged to make sure that you survive this initial process, and also that you can thrive afterwards. You will still need quality leadership, scalable infrastructure, and out-of-the-box marketing as you move forward. Donna has spoken a lot about leadership, how to take up the reins as a leader in this time, and really man up and have those big conversations and make the big calls fast. Well, Alan has spoken lots about scalable infrastructure that can support your business in a time like this, and the marketing and sales and business development side we'll touch on a little bit later in this session. So surviving and thriving, these two things for the time being. I think the first part is we want to make it through the current crisis. Each of us as a business owner want to make sure that the company we've built over the last 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years doesn't get completely destroyed in this time. So you want to keep your brand, you want to keep your business, you want to make sure that it doesn't collapse completely. And then you also want to, regardless of how deep the curve is for you, you want to make sure that your business can excel in the business world of the future. So a couple of things that I think is important. Firstly, to protect top line downside, to make sure that you protect your revenue, to brutally cut costs. We're going to talk about these points just now. Ensuring liquidity and balance sheet strength to make sure that you have cash in the bank to pay everything you need to every month. And then pivoting and improving your offering to make sure that you can really do great business in the future, to make sure that your offering is in line with what the business world will be once we come out of this disaster. So the first one on protect your top line revenue. I think the core point for me here is client relationships, guys. So, communicate more often than you think is necessary with your clients in this time. They want to hear from you. They want to hear things are okay. They need someone to speak to. They need someone to relate to. Everyone's going through a tough time. Lots of people have their kids at home. Lots of people are alone at home. Like, everyone needs a human to speak to. So pick up the phone as often as you can and call those clients and appeal to their human side. You want to also make sure that you add more value than what is expected in this time. people are going to be under pressure. They're going to be looking at where can they cut costs. So make sure that you are so valuable to them in your product or service offering that you are the last thing to go. And then in some cases, we're going to have to compromise, guys. We're going to have the conversations with some of the clients who are going through a really, really tough time, to just say, like, look, we realize you cannot pay the full retainer or your full delivery value this round. Can we agree on 80%, or can we agree on payment terms over the next 3 months? Figure something out where it's, it's always going to be a negotiation, but it also has to be human. So make sure that you really work with the guys on that. One of my favorite quotes from Gladiator is, "What we do in this life echoes into eternity." And I think if I look at this crisis, I think what we do as business owners and leaders in our companies in this current time will really echo into the future of our business. The client relationships, the staff relationships we forge now will really last for a lifetime. So do invest wherever you can. And then there's nothing like new business to stop the bleeding. When your top line is going down, the clients we see are doing the best are the ones who, for each client they lose, they bring on a new one. For each 2 clients that have to scale down, they bring on a new one. So you want to expand your marketing efforts. You want to expand your lead generation efforts, like 10x it if you have to. Like everything is digital. So you need to now, figure out new ways to sell. You need to figure out new geographies you can tackle, and just make sure that you keep building on the top line revenue. Because if you're just going on the defensive, you might see how the top line just gradually decreases over time. So an interesting thing here about geography is, you're now as close to a person sitting in America or in the UK or in Europe as the service provider or product offering across the street, because everyone has to jump on a Zoom call. So use this unique opportunity to get close to customers who are far away from you geographically, who will now be willing to meet with you, where generally they would have said, look, come have a coffee with me so I can see you. Now they can't do that at all. So it's a quite interesting opportunity, actually. Then the next thing after protecting top line, we want to make sure that we cut costs in accordance with the scenario we find our company in. So, Donna mentioned some companies are seeing 10% or 20% reduction in revenue. Some guys are seeing 50 or 80 or 95% in reductions in turnover. So you want to figure out what is your current reduction in revenue and what do you project over the next 3 to 6 months will be the downside on your revenue. And then you have to cut costs in accordance. You have to figure out what things can you cut out right now to make sure that the business can see it through this period. So make sure that you have one person responsible for each line item on the income statement, for each line item on the balance sheet, like wherever there's cash flow or income and expenses going out, make sure that you have someone responsible for looking at how can we negotiate it down, cut it out, consider putting it on pause, etc., in accordance with how much you actually have to cut to get to stay within your revenue. The next point is then to just stay liquid and stay alive. Ideally, everyone would want to have 3 months worth of expenses in their bank account. But realistically, not all small and mid-sized companies have that luxury. And if that's not you, it's too late to start now, right? We can't now start building up a pool for our businesses to have that piggy bank we can delve into in a crisis like this. So let's talk about the options out there. I think a lot of you guys joined to hear a bit about the relief funds. So look, there is quite a lot of different options out there. I think one of the questions was like, where can we find a list of everything? I think the point is there are so many disjointed different offerings. So we want to just touch base on a couple of ones that I think are individually valuable. And I'm going to just browse through them very quickly for the sake of time. We will be sharing everything in a group afterwards, so you guys will have access to all the information. So the first one is the Oppenheimer's fund called SAF, South African Future Trust. So this is a 5-year interest-free loan for Oppenheimer's for companies under 25 million revenue, but older than 2 years. If that's you can have a look at this. It's administered through the banks. So regardless of which one of the big banks you're banking with, you can apply through your bank for this. The downside of it is just, it's 750 Rand per month per qualifying employee for a limited amount of months. So the maximum amount you can borrow from it is like 10,000-11,000 Rand per employee. So if you have 3 or 5 high-paid employees, this might not be worth the effort. If you have a big pool, you have 50 kind of lower in salary employees, this could be a very valuable way of getting interest-free interest-free loan to be able to see this time through. The next one is the Rupert family fund. It's called Sukuma Relief Program. It's now run by business partners. It's soft loans for 250,000 to R1 million for tax compliant companies who can get through the business partners due diligence process. So I think there's a 12-month relaxation on your interest and your repayments on the loan, and then after that it's interest at prime. It's also a decent amount, pool of funds to help you see through the process. The downside is just within 3 days they got more than 10,000 applications and they closed it. So if you haven't applied, it's too late now. We have heard that from someone within business partners that there is a chance that they might accumulate further funds now. With everything the president also spoke about, many more funds will probably flow. So keep an eye on it. You can subscribe on their site to get details as soon as it opens up again. Then all of your different banks have their own offerings. I'm not going to go into anyone's in any detail. Most of the banks are willing to look at repayment holidays for a 3-month period or so. So if you have specific loan finance from any of the big banks, speak to your banker directly or have a look at their websites. This is fairly fairly self-explanatory, but you have to in most cases make an individual appeal for why you should get a holiday on your repayments. The other one we're quite excited about from the government side is the debt relief finance scheme from the Department of Small Business. It's administered by SEFA. Originally it was a R500 million pool of about loans of about up to 500,000 Rand. It's at prime minus 5%, so 2.75% interest rates. Really attractive. There's also grants that can be paired with this, so quite an interesting one to look at if you're a South African business, and if 500,000 Rands relief finance would make a difference for you. We also, we work closely with SEFA on many funding transactions for clients. We know we've got a really short turnaround time on this. So if you're looking for a couple of 100,000 Rand quickly, this could be a really cool option to have a look at. Then the IDC and the DTI and the Department of Tourism and a whole bunch of other guys all got quite specific, uniquely industry tailored different funds that I'm not going to, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into detail about, but you can draw the information online. It's pretty good, and we're putting together, an information deck with all of the links and so to these guys. My only caution with these relief funds would be, guys, almost all of it's debt, right? So every cent you use now to cover your expenses, you're going to have to repay in future to whichever financial year you choose at whichever interest rate. So one of the saddest things I've heard in the last while from an entrepreneur is we only just finished paying off our debts from the 2008 crisis in January, and now this. So that breaks my heart. These guys have spent 10, 12 years trying to repay the debt they made in the previous crisis. So don't be that entrepreneur. Try to bring your expenses down in accordance with your income, that you don't dig a too deep hole, because it's really painful. Even if you get access to 1 million, 2 million, however many millions worth of relief finance, you have to repay that from future cash flow profit. And that's a painful process, especially if you're tackling the process coming out of a crisis with a smaller company, with a smaller client base in future that has to carry this massive debt load. So be very careful of that. And then just on the thriving side, there was a report by some of the Bain & Company partners that I thought was really valuable on, how do you position your business to thrive during and after this crisis in the new world of business? And I think that the core message there was, accelerate, simple, and digital. So pivot to prepare the company for what will come and what the business world will look like in future. So the transition to digital has been, fast forwarded. You want to make sure your client experience is digital and it's simple, and it's done at a low cost, so that that you can survive and that you can thrive in the future. They also mentioned that incremental improvements will simply not suffice right now. Companies have to fast forward themselves years into the future of digital advancement in just a couple of weeks or months if they're going to make the most of this crisis. Then the 4 components that they list as part of a bold plan to tackle this process, which I think is valuable for each business owner, is the first one is, how do you excel in moments of truth? Like that your clients, the first time someone contacts you, the first time a client onboards, the client meeting once a month or once a quarter or whatever, when you deliver your product to them for the first time after lockdown, that kind of experience, like what those key moments, like how do you make those amazing? You want to sharpen your value proposition, that you stand out from the crowd. Like what is it that makes your company and your offering unique? and really build that out and make the marketing message around it really crisp and clear, that people can, people can know, like you stand out, you have something that's of real defendable value. And then provide easy, convenient sales setup. So make sure that your onboarding is seamless, quick, and painless, that new clients can onboard quickly, and then rip out the bad costs. We spoke about the complexity around, just bringing down the expenses in accordance with your income. Then, just a last kind of thought from me is, this too shall pass. It's easy to say right now, but some perspective was given to me recently by one of our mentors that works with our board. He said, look, he's been through 7 different crises the last since '87, since he started his own company, and some of the things that I thought was quite good to hear, like each time it felt like the end of the world and things would never get better. Each time there was sudden and massive unemployment. Each time it felt like this one is different and this one is the big one. That's really, I think, how we all feel about coronavirus right now. But what he says here is, each time the markets recovered, each time unemployment recovered, and each time the world learned something different and new ways emerged in which to improve what we do, and each time incredible individuals and companies emerged as the ultimate winners. So there's a lot of hope in that. He's been through 6 rounds of this. Many of us haven't had the luxury of that much experience and that much hardship. But at the end of the day, eventually this will pass and something new will emerge. He says, unfortunately, this will happen to everyone in their career multiple times over. So prep yourself for that. Prep your mind for that. Pay attention, read, learn, talk with smart people, and be a participant to the fullest. Build your relationships and make sure you continue building out your network continuously. Expand yourself in all ways you can. Take care of yourself mentally and physically. Remain optimistic, and you are defined by how you act in the tough times, not the easy ones. So define yourself now. I thought that was a really good message to just finish off with here. So guys, that's the end of our webinar presentation. I see we have like maybe 2-3 minutes left. What we can do is I've had a look at the questions. Can I ask that Donna and Valentine just jump on quickly? So what we've done is just drawn a couple of the questions that have come up throughout, and we'll just let's tackle 2 questions, seeing that we're almost out of time. And what we can do is then circulate through all of the rest, and we'll send something out at the end addressing some of the key questions that have come out. I think so. One thing that Kevin asked, like how to balance work life while working from home. And then Jessica also said, online meetings are quite draining. Like, how do I maintain my energy over time? Well, Adam, I thought these 2 they're quite a good combination to pose a question. Like, how do you manage energy in this remote work environment? Because it's quite a complex thing, right? I'm sorry, Valentine, we can't hear you at the moment.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Perfect, thanks.
There we go. So my simplest answer to the question relating to how to stay energized is coffee. Lots of coffee. The people that will know me, Alone and Donna smiling here, they know I like my coffee. But in all honesty, coffee is a great motivator, and it gives you that break to get up from your desk, go and make a cup of coffee, take that mental break before you take that first sip. In addition to that, I've invested in some beach bats. We play some beach bats outside, and we're dedicated about it and deliberate about it, to ensure that we make the time for that, to get up and get out and just get some fresh air, even if it's just walking out your front door and then walking back in, remaining in the rules of COVID. With the online meetings, again, like you would normal meetings, take a break. Tell everyone in the meeting, all right, guys, let's take a 5-minute quick leg stretch. Let's make sure we're nice and fresh, and then we'll tackle the new topic. And I'll share some more ideas after this broadcast. Perfect. Donna, I'm just going to give Sanjay's question a little bit of airtime here. You asked, like,
if you've scaled down in terms of, remuneration structure across the board with employees, like how hard is it to go back to normal again? And kind of how do you know when the business is ready to sustain its full cost load again? Like how would you approach that?
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for the question. My considerations would be is to be transparent with your staff during that, and obviously where you have salary decreases structured with them to also have like addendums to their employment contracts in writing for that. And then, and just to reasons for the salary decreases to stipulate, listen, unprecedented times due to the position that we are in with the COVID-19 that has and the lockdown has on our industry or our business. We're not in a position to up your salaries to what it was, and we are evaluating our positioning continuously as we go. It's almost like you can't put a timestamp to it because we are so many uncertainties when it can ramp up to the previous salary. Just be transparent with your staff on that. Obviously seek a labor law counsel on that, but that's just my thought to approach that.
Thanks, Lana. That's awesome. Luri, I'll have a look at your question. You said, look, there's many different relief funding options and opportunities from SARS and UIF and different funds available. But what is the timeline on this? Cash flow issues are cash flow issues now. Like he asked, like, has anyone actually received TERS funding or any of the other relief finance options? And I think the load on the financiers and on the relief fund administrators is really high. So it's been out of the blocks quite slow. A lot of system issues have kicked up. Tens of thousands of applications have gone in. So I know the Oppenheimer fund has allocated half of its billion already. So that's quite a good one if you want to make sure quick turnaround is one of the things you want to look at. I know that SEFA can allocate quite quickly at the moment. So that's one to definitely look at if it's very, very short-term needs. I know of the first entrepreneurs who have received UIF payments. So those are coming through. It's just haphazard, as their systems weren't really geared for this kind of process. Guys, so I think that's what we're going to have time for today. I know there's a lot of other questions, and we're going to field all of these maybe in a communication to you guys that we set up a circular around that. What I just still want to kind of bring across before we wrap up is just that now is the time to take action, guys. So if there's any way in which you guys need a systems team, if you need a CFO advisory team, if you need to move your accounting function to the cloud, or if you need input in terms of taxation and how to manage that, and also if you're keen on relief finance options and want to look at how can I get my business ready for taking advantage of this funding opportunity that has arrived in the market now, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The team at Outsourced CFO are we're passionate about entrepreneurship, we're passionate about keeping you guys in line and on your way to building the great companies you're busy with, ahead of this crisis. So get involved with our team. Herman Reelinghuis is our head of business development, and he's on standby for any questions, any calls you guys want to do. So reach out to us, get in touch, and then we look forward to bringing you more content like this, because I think the need has definitely established itself. So thank you very much for joining us. You can look out for an email from me. Just about the summary of the day and maybe some answers to your questions. Thanks, guys. We'll speak very soon.